Hi, and welcome to another MT and Full movie reviews. And here I am going to be talking today about the movie Leprechaun. This is going to be one of my B-movie reviews. And admittedly, when I was a kid, I was so terrified of this movie. My mother used to force me to watch it for fun. And it scared the living daylights out of me. And now, I think 12 years later, I watch it again like it was for the first time. And it is such a terrible movie. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't understand why this is Jennifer Aniston's first movie. Now, here's some notes about this. This really isn't going to get a rating because these are B movies. They're already pretty much rated for themselves. And these are my biggest picks about the movie that were so horrible. Alright, first was the title opening screen. It was just generic. It was just right in your face. There was no big reveal. Just Leprechaun. And then you had the O'Grady's. And the O'Grady's were in America and they had these stereotypical Irish accents. Granted, they were from Ireland. And they came from Ireland to America, and the son, or not the son, but the husband, just got back from a funeral, mother's ashes in a jar, but instead of ashes in a jar, it's gold coins. And it's later revealed that the husband had stolen the gold coins from the leprechaun because he had caught him, and the rules are if you catch the leprechaun, they tell you where the gold is. And so he didn't expect it to go sideways, and then the leprechaun stowed away in his luggage, which leads up to the first kill. And the first kill was awful. It was just terrible. It was just, I want me gold, and then she trips. It's and it's just I think it's literally 3 seconds where and she falls back, breaks her neck, and she's like, oh, no. And then the guy's like, it's no problem. And that was just terrible. It was just terribly acted. It was a terrible first kill. The first kill is supposed to leave you with a lasting impression of what the movie is going to be like. And in a way, it did do that because the rest of the movie is terrible. It's terrible. I've said it. It is terrible. And another thing is, I don't know much about Irish lore, but I don't think this is a part of it. A four-leaf clover is like a crucifix to a vampire. And he's like, oh, where'd you get the four-leaf clover? And he's like, I know this hurts you. And then it's like, how do you know it hurts him? There's no lore saying that a four-leaf clover hurts a leprechaun. A leprechaun's not even supposed to be deadly in the first place. And then he has a heart attack, which I will get back to this at a later point because it really irks me, the logic in this movie. Alright, and then you have Jennifer Aniston and her father driving in. And what are they listening to? Lucky Four-Leaf Clover. How ironic is that for a movie? A song that nobody has ever heard of with a name, Lucky Four-Leaf Clover. I will leave you to contemplate that because it is so awful. And then once they get to the house, they get settled in. And it's understandably so. It is understandably so that the daughter is so unappreciative of her father-daughter time spending. And I can't remember. I just watched this like an hour ago, so it's pretty fresh in my head. But I don't remember them saying if it's like a joint custody thing, she's going out to spend time with the father. But what kind of father, unless he's a molester, and I'm being serious about that, brings them to a backwoods and totally broken down house with cobwebs and rats everywhere, cockroaches everywhere, and then expects her to be appreciative of being there. It's just ridiculous. I mean, like, what kind of father does that unless they're molesting their, I'm assuming, 18-year-old daughter? Then you have all throughout the movie, and I'm not even kidding, you can count how many times there are. I think there's about 7 or 8 times of anti and pro-feminist remarks in the whole film. And it's just this was in a time before political correctness, like just before 2000. Because you'll get what I mean if you watch the 1998, I think it is, Godzilla. Because that's a perfect summation of non-political correctness in movies. Then you have the kid who's a real douche to the guy. I can't tell if he is just dumb, because I went to school with a bunch of mentally challenged kids, and I have never seen anybody act as dumb as this actor did. And you know who he is if you watch this movie. And then you have the kid who's being a total jerk to him, and then it's like, man, I can't wait till after this is done. I could really use a beer. Really? 7-year-old kid, you can use a beer? Who are your parents? Like, seriously. And what kind of director would promote underage drinking? I mean, underage drinking at like 7 years old. 7 years old, director. Not a good choice. And to elaborate on the guy's mental condition, I mean, it's just, they just made him too dumb. I mean, I've met a range of mentally disabled people, and this by far puts everything, like, it's shameful how bad that is. And I wouldn't have been surprised if the whoever runs the American Disability Association didn't sue the creator of Leprechaun for this, among other things. Then you had, and then his clothes. It was like, I forgot how, I'm not going to single out his clothes. It's everybody's clothes, how terrible everything was. I forgot how terrible 90s fashion was in a whole. I mean, 80s fashion was pretty bad, but it had a certain style and nostalgia. 90s, however, was a complete and total train wreck of fashion, and it's like, oh my god, did we wear those as kids? Like, it was so bad. And then the CGI all throughout the movie, terrible CGI. The CGI was so terrible, I could probably make it better with a camera, a paintbrush, and just post-editing it on there, and it would probably look much better than it did in the movie. It was so terrible. There was a time where, I kid you not, Barney Rainbow across the sky. It was that bad. I mean, like, they walk out and then you see what looks to be like this terrible green screen, and then imagination. I kid you not, that slow. Imagination. And then again, I have to emphasize that this kid was a real jerk to his buddy who has a mental disability or is just completely and totally dumb. He's just calling him stupid. He's like, I think he says pea brain at a point, and then you're supposed to feel sympathetic because they find the gold. Another terrible CGI moment, and it's just like and gold, and he's like, and this is the part where you're trying, and when the director wanted you to feel bad for him, it's like, if we sell this gold, we could get you that brain surgery and make you smart. Director, no amount of brain surgery unless you have cancer, even if you have cancer, will make you smart. Again, director, what were you thinking? It is that bad. It makes me want to bite my tongue because I'm trying to keep all my reviews at a very moderate level of I don't want to go off on a rant, even though these B-movie reviews are about rants. Again, I can't believe Jennifer Aniston, this was her first actual feature movie. And I went on IMDb to confirm this. She was in a couple of series as an extra, and I still can't believe this was her first movie. The animations, along with the CGI, was terrible because there was a time where, you leave the cat alone if it's in a hole in a tree, and you have to reach in past your elbow to try and grab this cat out. Because I have tried to get a cat out of its hiding place when it's calling for help. It doesn't end well. And he gets bit by the Leprechaun, which I'm not going to review the other movies because in Leprechaun 3, this is where it totally doesn't make sense that Leprechaun 3 happened. But in Leprechaun 3, yes, I've watched it past space. It's that bad it's good. I can't say that. No. It is not so bad it's good. I've seen movies that were so bad it's good. It's so bad that you can't stop watching. It's that bad. That in Leprechaun 3, apparently leprechauns are like werewolves. You get bit, you turn into a leprechaun. But in the first movie, the leprechaun is like the leprechaun because he sold his soul for his gold. Inconsistent. It might have been a different director, I don't know. I don't know how they got the same actor to do Leprechaun over and over and over and over. There must have been some sort of contract, or he didn't get any good work after that. And one of the worst death scenes I could probably ever watch in a film, and I've seen some really bad death scenes, is getting killed with a pogo stick. Now, I've been on a pogo stick. It is very difficult to keep your balance on a pogo stick after the third hop. So how, and there's also terrible slow motion with this, is that the leprechaun consistently bounces on this guy's chest, breaking it and breaking it and breaking it. It makes no sense. And to point out, this movie was not a comedy. This was a full-fledged horror movie that went to the theater. If it was straight to TV or a sci-fi film, that would be one thing. but this wasn't.